Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my out of the mist, in the darkness, comes the shadow. Friend Frank, how are you today?
I'm good, and I know what evil lurks in the hearts of men.
Yeah, do you? That's because the shadow knows. Great stuff. What's the shadow drinking tonight?
The shadow. I'm drinking the Ramblebrew, the Paul Revere's Ramblebrew.
Yeah.
It's back again.
Yeah.
Because I still have maybe one or two more pours left in the growler. So
Very good.
enjoying some of that.
Very good. I'm drinking another Porch Rocker, as I was last episode, because it's
Still, you won't let go of summer.
I actually like fall more than summer.
Yeah.
It's just still kind of humid out,
Yeah.
and I'm not a fan of like heaviness when it's humid. I don't mind having heavy beers when it's warm out.
Okay.
I don't like having heavy
Interesting.
beers when it's humid.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about ciders?
They actually hurt my mouth.
Really?
Yeah, not all ciders. I like them, so I like the taste. Okay, but I have this thing where there's like I don't know the specifics of it because it was explained to me. But there are certain drinks that have certain kinds of sugars in them that react oddly with my mouth, and it like makes like parts of my gums expand because it's like trying to absorb the sugar, but
Weird.
It thinks it's another kind of sugar and it's not there, and all it does is cause like immense pain in my mouth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it happens with some wines, most if not all ciders, and very rarely some kinds of beer. And I honestly I don't know what it is, and I thought I was kind of alone in the suffering, and it turns out my friend also suffers from it, but her husband was the one that explained it to me.
Okay.
And so I'd have to talk to her about it more specifically. So
Interesting.
or use the internet.
Or that.
But I kind of know what at least now kind of what happens, and
Wow.
so I do like ciders, and I wish I could drink them more, but I really can't without the pain.
Bummer.
Yeah, and it's not immediate, so like I can have a couple sips, but I can sense it coming on, and then I'd have to stop immediately.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Well, we'll be back. We'll be right back on the WebMD podcast.
Yeah, where I'm very vague, and you might have cancer. Like, who's to say?
Who knows?
I have a cough. You probably have syphilitis.
cancer. Oh,
yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. So here's another edition of, I think, actually one of my favorite segments. I really do enjoy this. Hit me with your best shot.
Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot?
In which your earbuds explode from the noise of the song, and then we say to you, Frank and or Tim, you do not know of this thing, and I will try to convince you to at least try this thing, in which I will convince you. And so it's my turn to convince you of something.
I need to be convinced.
You are to be convinced. And so this is kind of a strange bit of convincing, because I don't think that you're opposed to any of this. You just haven't had the opportunity or you just don't think of it to watch.
It's much like the X-Men movies.
It's not a dislike. It's just you just
haven't gotten around to it
yet.
Yeah.
So here we are. I'm going to try to convince you to like pulp heroes. And I'm talking not about, the orange juice pulp. I'm talking about the fiction magazines published from the late 1800s to the mid 1950s. Pulp fiction magazines were the thing before comic books. People would buy and read, and you've heard of maybe some of their more famous counterpoints, like the Lone Ranger, the Bat, the Shadow, the Phantom was a comic, not a pulp, but Zorro, all these arguably famous pulp heroes,
right?
Which a lot of them, which is my first bit of convincing, a lot of them are the inspiration for Batman.
That's right.
Which you may or may not be familiar with. Some are kind of obvious,
like
in some ways, like the Bat. The Bat was actually get how much of a rip this is for other things. The Bat was a district attorney whose face was scarred by acid and then fought crime. Like,
yep.
Yeah, just stealing all the stuff. But, Bill Finger was only, and Bob Kane were only in their 20s.
Yeah.
And Bob Kane was younger than Bill Finger, so like coming up with all this stuff for Batman, you're like, what better way if you're like innocent, like young, basically kids or young adults are like, all these things, all these great things really work. We should combine them all together and create a new character. And that's why Batman is eternal in a lot of ways, because he's just an amalgamation of Sherlock Holmes and, the Three Musketeers and Zorro and the Phantom and the Shadow and all these different things. So I'm going to talk to you specifically about Zorro, the Shadow, and the Phantom.
In what are we talking about? In all mediums? In certain?
No, I'm going to break this down even further. I'm going to talk about the Shadow, the film. I'm talking about 3 films: The Shadow in 1994, The Phantom in 1996, and The Mask of Zorro in 1998.
And you just spout that off the top of your head.
I really did.
You know those movies very well.
I do. Okay, so I'm just going to go in order of the movies, not in necessarily order of how good they are,
sure,
or how popular or whatever, but I'll just go in order in which they were made.
Okay.
So, The Shadow was the first one. How much do you know about The Shadow?
I heard 1 or 2 episodes of the old time radio show,
the Orson Welles show. Yeah.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
The Shadow knows.
Exactly. So the Shadow was a crime fighter named Lamont Cranston, who's actually, his name actually isn't even Lamont Cranston. He has a double secret identity.
Whoa.
He's actually got another name whose name I can't remember. And like, there's a guy, a wealthy socialite named Lamont Cranston, who is like a man about town, but is out of town a lot of the times.
A man out of town.
And who's like, right. Yeah. And so the Shadow like made this deal with him. He's like, I'm going to use your name because we kind of look like, and you're not around a lot. And so I'm just going to be you instead of being the real me. And Lamont Cranston's like, that's cool, whatever. And so he's got like a triple identity.
So do people know that think that he's Lamont Cranston, but then his real identity is John Smith? Or
people do not suspect that the Shadow is Lamont Cranston at all. Yeah, and people further don't suspect that the Shadow is this mysterious other third person whose name I can't remember. And I'm not going to use my lookup because in the grand scheme it's not that important. I know I'll need it later for something else. Yeah. So fun. So we'll because it's just the movie, that's not covered in the movie, so I'm just going to take the movie version. And you're going to try to connect to the Batman as much as possible in this, okay?
Okay.
So the movie's really kind of living off of the hype of the Tim Burton Batman films. It's kind of that dark, noir-y, gothic, pulp, arguably, feel to it. Dick Tracy style. And so the Shadow, Lamont Cranston, is a warlord in Asia.
Oh.
And he went over there for World War I and kind of stayed there, and became this warlord. And he is taken to. I'm going to spoil all these films, just in a way. I'm going to spoil the beginning of these films.
Okay.
And he's taken to this temple, in the Far East, where this mystic guru says I'm going to teach you how to use your You have a gift inside of you. I'm going to teach you how to take this crappy person that you are on the outside and get rid of it and turn you into a good person.
Okay.
And I'm going to doing that with mystical Asian guru-ness.
It's like a training montage?
No, there isn't. There's actually a scroll kind of like Star Wars instead.
Oh, interesting.
Not in that. It just goes. It's just vertical. It's not.
It doesn't go into space.
It doesn't go into space.
Oh well, then what's the point?
I know, right? It's also not at the beginning of the film,
right?
And so. But it's got a James Horner soundtrack. So there you go. As does Mask of Zorro, actually, coming back to that. So So the shadow, it's like Alec Baldwin is the shadow, in case I think you knew that, but people might not have. So it's Alec Baldwin. This is as close as playing Batman as he's going to get, because he turned down playing Batman in 89.
Idiot.
Yeah, I know. But we did get Michael Keaton, so idiot. So did you just quote Salma Hayek saying idiot to Alec Baldwin in 30 Rock?
Yes, I believe I did.
Yes, good. Excellent. Well done. And so he learns how to, quote, cloud men's minds, which is what you hear. The shadow knows. He's basically a telepath, and so he can cloud. He basically makes it so you can't see him, even though he's standing right in front of you. But for whatever reason, because he needs a weakness or whatever, you can't hide his shadow. Hence the shadow. So his shadow is the only thing. All you see is his shadow.
All you see is his shadow.
So, but which is not always the case, because the light has to hit it. Sure. So if you're standing,
but if there is a shadow, you will see that. Not him.
You will not see him, but you can see his shadow.
I am actually captivated by that thought. By that idea.
It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because he's not just invisible. Like he does.
I thought he was just invisible.
No, you actually do see. You do see the shadow, and he carries Colt Magnum 45s, which are guns that actually you actually need to fire. I don't know much about guns, but I know these you actually need to fire with two hands, because they used to break people's wrists.
Right.
And he carries two of them and shoots them off because he's super cool like that. He's like, my wrists are super strong. Don't care. Ha ha ha.
Got it.
And so, but he's just in a suit, and he's got a red scarf on it with a hat, because it's pulps. They didn't wear costumes yet.
Right.
Superman is the first hero to wear a costume, and so the onset of the costume doesn't happen really until 1938.
Right.
So you could argue that he's in a costume because he's wearing a cape and his hat.
He's got sort of his uniform.
It's a uniform, but it's not really. It's not spandex.
It's not like a leotard. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and so the film sets it up where he actually fights the descendant of Genghis Khan, which is pretty cool, and all stuff happens. But I don't want to spoil the film but here's the cast of players. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
It's got Alec Baldwin,
right?
Tim Curry, Ian McKellen in his first American film.
No.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen's only been in American films since 22 years.
1994. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Keep going.
In his first American film.
Wow.
Peter Boyle.
Ooh.
I might be out of people from there.
Okay.
You might recognize you'll recognize other actors, I think, but I can't remember their names.
All right. Fair.
So, his love interest is a woman named Margot Lane, who is the inspiration for Lois Lane.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, in some weird way, either the radio show where they're actually supposed to be related, like the Shadow and Superman, like originally were supposed to exist in this kind of cohesive universe, and the Lanes were related to one another in some way. Yeah. And so he sets it so like Lamont Cranston is a wealthy man about town, pretending to be Lamont Cranston, partier, and this and that and the other thing. And he actually has this network. Whenever he saves somebody, he gives them a ring, and they become an agent for the Shadow. Saved your life, you owe me. Now you work for me.
Wow.
And so he has spies all over the
everywhere.
city. He's got this thing he calls the Sanctum Sanctorum. Hey, Doctor Strange. In which, that's his secret lair. It's his Batcave. It's, like where he gets all his data and all this lovely, wonderful stuff. And the movie itself is real corny, like as most pulp things are. Some of it doesn't make exact sense and all that stuff, but I love it because it owns what it is.
Yeah.
The movie kind of takes the radio version and the pulp version and kind of combines them all together. But so like there's a little bit in the movie where he's talking to Genghis Khan's descendant, who I just won't use real names.
Okay,
that's fine. It's not Shang Tsung because that's Mortal Kombat.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna use my logo for that either.
Okay.
So, but he's talking to them, and Genghis Khan's descendant is like, "I really like your tie," and he's like it's like Barney's. So it's like, no, Saks Fifth Avenue, because that's what they used to do in the radio show. They used to advertise in the middle of the thing, and so like
product placement,
right? It's product placement. So they kind of do that in the movie, and it's
so cool.
fun, and you have to know that it's not going to take itself too seriously. Going in, and the Shadow knows, and he laughs weird, and he says weird things like crime, bears bitter fruit, and like these corny like things that nobody says and nobody should say,
but they say in pulps.
Yeah, but they say in pulps, and they say on the radio. studio, and so they say it in the movie, and it's real fun as like this time capsule, like this creation of a live action time capsule, basically. And it's real fun and dopey that way.
That's great.
But serious enough. The budget was pretty good on it. The thing with the movie, the climax was supposed to be huge. Like, it had this whole thing set up, and there was an earthquake the day before.
In real life?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it destroyed all the set that they were supposed to use. So they were like already behind schedule and stuff. So they had to film this like really small version of what was going to happen.
Oh, no.
So the movie kind of really falters in its third act, like at the very end, this final battle, and it's because of an earthquake, which is really upsetting.
That's so lame.
Yeah, it's so lame. Yeah, I know.
Like the studio wouldn't like give them an extension or whatever. Like, that's wow.
I know. But that's so that's
the Shadow.
That's the Shadow.
That sounds really cool.
It's real fun. It's like I said, it's real dopey, but it's got a lot going for it, even if it's got a lot going for it. Yeah, and I think it's one of those, like, if you know it's from the 90s, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's like the mob and like all this fun stuff.
That kind of reminds me of The Rocketeer. In a way, where it's like
it's exactly like that. Yeah, a little more adult than The Rocketeer, but definitely like The Rocketeer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Do you like The Rocketeer?
I enjoyed it. Yeah,
it's fine.
I don't like it as much as a lot of other people do. Please don't send me hate mail on that, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it for what it is.
I know people who think it's boring.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's exciting as a lot of people have like such nostalgia for it. I didn't grow up watching it, so I don't have that same sense of nostalgia, but I appreciate it. I like it.
Yeah, okay. This is Rocketeer's got that Disney flair, like that, like high spirit of adventure,
of course.
And this is more like it's got that. It's like living off that Tim Burton and Batman vibe, so it's a little dark, but it's got some like light moments to it, and yeah, I really do enjoy it. Peter Boyle is his taxi. He's basically the Alfred for him. He's like he's actually his taxi driver. Like, he saved his life, and so he has his personal taxi that is Peter Boyle, and like he's driving around. The ring flashes, like tells people like, get out, like I don't need you, and it's real fun. It's a good time. All right, so the Shadow was not a success, really, but it was enough of a success for people to go, well, maybe there are more heroes like this out there. Hence comes 1996's The Phantom,
right,
starring Billy Zane.
Yes. This is a movie I know very little, next to nothing about.
I'm pretty. Oh no, it actually just left Netflix this month.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. Okay,
which is unfortunate.
But or something.
It's the Phantom is also known as the Ghost Who Walks, was an old comic series in which this guy was like marooned in this like called the Jungle of Bengala in, I think it's supposed to be Africa, and the family takes up this mantle of the Phantom, and every time the father dies, the mantle passes to the son, and over and over and over again for 30 some odd generations.
Okay.
And so he is called the Ghost Who Walks because people believe him to be a ghost, because even though he dies, he always comes back.
Right.
And so people believe, so he wears this really stupid purple outfit and, whatever else. The outfit in the movie is one of the more comic accurate costumes, for better or for worse.
Sounds like for worse.
Yeah, it for better or for worse, it is. It is one of the more comic accurate outfits out there. They wanted to originally put Billy Zane in a bodysuit, like Michael Keaton.
Oh, I see. Okay,
but he had worked out so much. He was almost like a precursor to like, I'm actually going to get in shape to be a superhero, like really good shape.
Interesting.
And because he looked too good, they went back and made him like dress in like the leotard, basically.
Oh, wow.
So which unfortunately still really covers up a lot of his physique, but it's still there. The Phantom is dopey, but he has like Skull Cave.
Okay.
And he works with the British police who are there. He's got his little Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, okay,
and he goes in through the window and like all this little stupid stuff like that. There's one scene with the captain's talking to his officer, comes back inside, turns around, Phantom sitting there in a chair eating a cracker. Like, just like, hey, like he's not, unlike the Shadow, who's like, I'm mysterious and I'm in the shadows. Phantom's like, sup? I'm the Phantom. Like, I have no chill at all.
Oh my God.
Like, he's like super like,
that's amazing.
How's it going? I'm like the Phantom, and I really can't be I can't be creepy because I'm in a purple suit in the jungle where there's no purple that's around. But he's got a pet wolf and he rides a horse.
Awesome.
And that's a lot of fun. So he, there's this woman, independent woman, Diana Palmer, who's also like a Lois Lane, intrepid reporter type character, and she gets kidnapped by pirates. Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yes.
And before she was famous, actually.
Oh.
And so he rescues her, but they knew each other in college, and so there's like, I know who you are, but you don't know who I am, and there's all this fun thing, and this like, magic skulls and all this stuff. It's
okay.
It's way dopier.
Yeah.
Than it is way dopier than The Shadow is, I think, and it shows it, and so you have to kind of be prepared for. I just watched it pretty recently. It's kind of fresh in my mind, but I still love it because it's dumb.
Because it's dopey. Okay.
It's dopey. Yeah, but I still like. There are pirates, and it's like pirates and magic, and Treat Williams is just not holding back in any way. Like, he is like the poor man's Jim Carrey.
Okay.
In it. But he's like pretty devious. Like, he tells somebody he's like a crime lord. He's like a Lex Luthor-ish.
Okay.
I own this big company, but I'm a crime lord, but nobody can stop me.
Yeah,
you know, like, he's actually, apart from being over the top, he's probably as close to Lex Luthor I've ever seen on screen.
Interesting.
Because I run this big company, and I'm after this stuff that I think that'll help me rule the world, and, you know, everyone knows I'm evil, but no one can say anything because I own the police and this and this.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but he's like, there's a scene in which he's talking to this guy and has him looking into a microscope because the guy like lied to him and betrayed him or whatever. And so he's like, I could use your opinion. What's under this microscope? And when the guy turns the dials, it says like you lied or something like that. And there are blades come up. And, cut out his eyes. Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty dank and dark for a PG movie.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
PG. Wow.
PG. Yeah. Cause there's not a lot else. That's probably the darkest thing in this movie.
I see.
But
okay. Wow.
It's fun. Like he like the Phantom talks to the ghost of his dad, and he's like, Dad, I've got some problems, and and he's just like sitting in the back of a cab in New York in his Phantom outfit, and the cabbie is like watching him like talk to nobody, and then Phantom's like, can you go a little faster? And he's like, you talking to me now? Like, and he's just like, I love New York. This is great. This is the 30s New York. This is what we need. We haven't had excitement like this since King Kong, like whatever. It's dopey, but fun.
That's fun.
But you can see the influences of a little less influences there. But like the big cave, and it's shaped like a skull.
Uh-huh.
He's got his little throne, and all that stuff.
Got it.
It's fun. Dopey.
Cool.
Out of the three that I'm telling you about, I recommend it the least.
It sounds like not my type.
No, it doesn't, which is why I'm kind of breezing through.
Yeah,
it.
but I'm still gonna. I will endeavor to give it my best shot.
Sure. The last one, 1998's The Mask of Zorro, is the best movie out of this bunch. It's directed by Martin Campbell.
Okay.
Of Casino Royale.
Yeah.
And GoldenEye and Edge of Darkness and other things.
Yeah.
Green Lantern.
I don't have to talk about that.
Yeah. No. It's not like Green Lantern. Don't worry.
This was dark. Oh, never mind. No.
It's a Mel Gibson movie.
I would think of Edge of Tomorrow. I was like, really?
Oh no, Edge of Tomorrow's
Live, Die, Repeat.
Dennis Lyman, Dan Lyman, something like that, which is
Sure.
a great movie. Mask of Zorro. What do you know about Zorro?
He makes the sign of the Z.
Yeah, he does. I love that sign. He makes the sign of the Z,
and he wears black.
Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. It's been in my head the rest of the night. He was so. Zorro is arguably
Johnny Cash.
Yeah, the Man in Black. Zorro means fox in Spanish. I don't know if you knew that. He's the fox.
Did not know that.
Yeah, Zorro is the fox. Zorro is this guy named Don. He's a Don in California, Don Diego de la Vega, before it's part of the United States. Okay. And he is a wealthy man who does not like the government. He does not like the government's control over the poor of California.
Yep.
So he becomes Zorro to fight the government for the poor. Little Robin Hood.
I was going to say, yeah,
Little Robin Hood.
Yeah. That's the one other thing I did know about him. Other than making the sign of the Z wearing black, I knew he was kind of Robin Hood.
He's Robin Hood. He's this rich guy. He's got a cave under his mansion.
Okay.
He rides
always with the caves. With these
always
guys.
with the caves under the mansion. I know. Rides a black horse called Tornado. It's like the Batmobile. You know, he marks everything just like Batman. Bats everywhere.
Yeah,
Z's
sure.
everywhere. All in black. All this stuff.
He's the original, like, you know, so and so was here.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's so true.
Zorro was here.
Zorro was here. So the Mask of Zorro is actually the end of that guy's career. It's the end of Don Diego's career. So there's been a bunch of, you know, there was a television show and a bunch of movies with Tyrone Power.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
right.
knew about both the show and the Tyrone Power.
The Mark of Zorro is the film that Bruce and his parents go to see the night that they die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Bruce Wayne, you mean?
Bruce Wayne, yeah. We're just so close. Yeah, you know, first names.
First name basis.
Yeah.
This billionaire.
Right. So The Mask of Zorro is a legacy film.
Okay.
Which we know how you love legacy films. I don't know if you love them at all.
I have no problem with legacy films.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the movie picks up with like...
I'm sorry, what would you call the 2009 Star Trek?
Legacy film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the hell out of that film.
Yeah. Episode 7. Legacy film.
Yeah.
So, it starts off. So Anthony Hopkins plays Don Diego, and it's the movie starts with his last outing as Zorro. Santa Anna is coming in and clearing out the government. It's his now. All this stuff, and so they're clearing out before Santa Anna and his army get there.
Okay.
And so it's kind of his last outing as Zorro. Nobody knows Don Diego Zorro and so he goes home. He's got a nice little kid, and he's like, "Oh, my life's gonna be great now. My wife is beautiful. My daughter is beautiful. I'm done being Zorro. It's all good." Enter the governor, who's like, "Hey, I know you're Zorro, and you've caused me a lot of problems over the years. So I'm going to arrest you as my last act of thing."
Last act of thing.
That
you know
guy,
he means it when he says that.
The governor, that last guy, loves Don Diego's wife.
Oh no!
Spoilers for all this. He ends up killing her by accident. Throws Don Diego in prison. Takes the daughter for himself. Raises it as his own kid. Flash forward 20 years. Count of Monte Cristo. He basically finds out the governor has come back. Santa Anna's gone. You know, the governor comes back to reclaim control of California. He breaks out of prison, real Count of Monte Cristo style, to seek revenge.
Ooh.
All the meanwhile, you have this, you know, wandering bum of Antonio Banderas.
I was wondering where he would come in.
Yeah, Alejandro, whose brother is killed by a soldier who was a Confederate soldier, now is working for this governor, Captain Love.
Okay.
Captain Love, actually, his name is he plays Eobard Thawne on The Flash.
Oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, not
yeah, I understand. Not Tom
not Harrison Wells. Yeah.
The guy that Tom Cavanaugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actual Harrison Wells, Matt something. I can't remember his last name. Who will be playing Eobard in Legends of Tomorrow?
Right.
So
he was pretty young then.
Yeah, real young. Yeah. Well, weren't they all just the youngest?
Antonio, everybody.
So they're both after revenge for these two people who are working together, and so long story short, Don Diego, Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins starts to train Antonio Banderas to be the next Zorro. And it's this legacy film, like, moving on. And Catherine Zeta-Jones is...
Okay, yeah. I knew she was in that movie. And when you mentioned her in The Phantom, I was like, maybe isn't she in Zorro, too?
Yeah, she's also in Zorro, yeah.
And she plays
the daughter. Anthony Hopkins' daughter. She has no idea she's adopted.
Okay.
All that stuff. And there's a love thing with them. And it's actually really good swashbuckling fun.
I've seen parts of that movie, and I remember seeing Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones together. And then when you mentioned her being in the other movie, I was like, maybe I'm confused about which pulp movie. Okay, I was right.
Now the thing with action movies in the night, like in action movies, there's pre-Matrix and post-Matrix, right?
Yeah.
There's that dividing line, and Mask of Zorro is right
just
before Matrix.
Matrix is 99, this is 98.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the choreography, the sword fight stuff, like anything, it's really good. It's like it's actually Yeah, you know, like the Princess Bride, like that sword fight.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's still like, that's still good.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah,
not great, but it's still good.
It's still good.
This is still really good.
Okay.
There's a lot of fun in this, and it's pretty realistic across the board. Movie's got a great comedy streak running through it. It doesn't take itself overly more seriously than The Phantom and more seriously than The Shadow, but because there's no mystic anything to it. It's just a guy in black clothes learning to pretend to be devious, to try to be a spy, to be a hero. It's a real good movie. It's a lot of fun, and if you can, there's so much Batman in Zorro, like crazy. Like, here's this identity. I've got to infiltrate the upper class and like wine and dine this person to learn some information, and you know, to get that, and spy on this person over here to go and be the Zorro later at night to go do this thing. And there's a lot of fun to be had in this film.
Okay.
And so if you have to choose any of them to watch, I would argue watch Zorro.
Okay.
First, just because it's a better. I love The Shadow, I think, more than Zorro, but I think Mask of Zorro is a better film. Soundtrack is fantastic.
Also, James Horner, you said.
James Horner, yeah.
That and The Shadow are both.
It might be Alan Silva. You know what? I think actually, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure The Shadow's Alan Silvestri. Now that I
Silvestri or Horner, like both
real good. I'm not sure who did the Phantom. Though it actually does also have a good soundtrack. It's right in that time when it's still real big symphonic scores and characters had themes and they were strong and it was awesome. And we don't really have that anymore, unfortunately.
Have you seen that viral video that's been going around about like, hey, can you hum a single Marvel theme? And like, no one can.
Someone literally sent that to me while we were recording. Actually,
really?
Yeah.
I haven't watched the whole thing. We should watch it after this. But it gets the point across.
I can hum Captain America's theme because it's Alan Silvestri.
I can't. I don't. Yeah, I know you love that one. I can never remember that one. I remember the Avengers theme. It's also Alan
Silvestri.
But I don't. You know. I couldn't tell you any of the other Iron Man or anybody else.
If you give me the beginning of Thor's, I can do it.
No,
but I can't pull it off the top of my head.
I've seen the Avengers so many times that I can.
Yeah, right.
Like that one I know real well. The others I got nothing.
Yeah, I know Captain America's real well, but that's just personal taste, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah,
that's your favorite. Is this still your favorite Marvel soundtrack, Captain America?
Definitely my favorite Marvel soundtrack for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And the theme does not come back except at the very beginning of Winter Soldier.
Yes,
you know, when he's running around the monuments.
Yes,
with his meet cute with the Falcon.
Yes,
and yeah,
you get a little. I remember that. I don't. Yeah.
And then that's it, and you don't hear it ever again, which is really, really unfortunate.
It's so sad that it didn't come back in Civil War. Like, what a great opportunity to pay it off, and maybe do like it in a minor key and make it all like sad and everything when him and Tony are fighting.
But Silvestri didn't do the scores to either of those movies.
I know, but still, like it's still the theme was there.
Yeah, somebody Jackman did.
It's Hugh Jackman.
It's not Hugh. Yeah, you're right. It's Hugh Jackman. Somebody Jackman did Winter Soldier, who also did X-Men First Class.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a good.
One's a good one. But see, like those themes didn't come back for all the other X-Men movies either. Like Magneto had a great theme.
I'll be honest, I don't know the themes, but I just remember that First Class had an awesome score.
Yeah, but it's sad when stuff doesn't get reused that way.
Yeah, it is. It's a waste.
Yeah. So I had to rush through all of these, and I don't think
a marvelous job.
I don't feel like I did.
I think you did a marvelous job. I will be honest with you. A thing that I try to do. I am most intrigued by The Shadow.
Really?
Yeah, and I think I have a predisposition to like The Shadow, just because I love old time radio and that kind of thing.
Oh,
and I was, someone, like I said, I listened to 1 or 2 episodes of The Shadow.
Mm-hmm. My grandma used to listen to it all the time.
I had like a bunch of I had an album of old time radio episodes.
Sure.
I have the entirety of the Superman old time radio.
Yes,
everything that exists on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the episodes were lost to time forever.
Right.
But the ones that are still available, I have all of them. And then I had a CD of some random old time radio stuff.
Sure.
And one of them was The Shadow. And I remember once there was a power outage. Okay. And I had nothing to do, but I had these things on my iPod, and I was like, wouldn't it be fun to sit around like a candle and like listen to the radio because we have nothing else to do. So we did that with me and my family. And That's one of my favorite memories. And so I listened to The Shadow. And so your description of it actually has intrigued me quite a bit. And I think I may... So I want to give him my best shot, but I think I may break with your advice, and I may watch The Shadow first.
It's fine. I'll watch it with you. Shiwan Khan. I had to use my logo because I didn't use it all. Shiwan Khan is the name of Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. Okay,
I'm good now.
So I definitely would. I think I want to watch The Shadow first.
That's fine.
Then Zorro, and then like if I have time, The Phantom.
That's it.
It sounds like the one I'm least into, but if it's sort of like a sillier version of the Rocketeer type of thing, like I will appreciate it.
If
I just won't
just watch it if you like Billy Zane. Good for you.
Billy's
Billy
back
Zane.
in town. Oh, Christy Swanson's in this. Okay.
Yes, she is.
Cool.
Yeah, the original Buffy.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, cast isn't bad. I mean,
no, it's a good cast. It's a good cast. It sounds silly, but
it's silly. I mean, even the posters slam.
But
evil,
exactly. But knowing that it's silly and knowing going into it that it's silly, is helpful. So cool. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. These all sound fun, and I think I sincerely I think I will watch them all. Not like tomorrow, but I will. Now that I know these are so highly recommended, and I've heard sort of the appeal, and they sound like things that are things that I would enjoy. Mm-hmm. So I'm in. I want to check them out.
Yeah, I can still hum the Shadow theme. Isn't that crazy?
Well, you love that. You've always talked about that movie.
Yeah, I do. I mean, part of it's definitely childhood nostalgia.
Sure,
for sure.
But I mean, as long as I've known you, you've always loved that movie.
My brother went as the Shadow for Halloween one year.
No way, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. That's like an obscure one, too. I thought people would be like, who are you? Are you a man in a suit?
Yeah. No, he had a red scarf. That's fine.
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Good stuff.
Well, thank you for walking us through that.
You're welcome.
Walking me through that.
You're welcome.
Giving it your best shot. I will give them my best shot. If you want to give us your best shot or tell us your suggested topics or anything else, you can find us on the internet at Beer with Geeks on Twitter, beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. To send us your thoughts in longer form. You can find us on Facebook, Beer with Geeks, beerwithgeeks.com. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Satchel, Overcast, all the great apps. Leave us ratings and reviews. Those really, really help us, and we really appreciate them every single time you do that. Every time you leave us a review, an angel gets wings. A shadow gets its shadow
back.
The shadow...
I can't get my shadow to stick on.
The Zorro... sticks his
mark of the Z
on your chest. Wait, that's painful. Never mind.
Seen it done.
If you also want to,
he carves in somebody's neck at one point.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
You can also find us at thoughtbubbleaudio.com, where we do other podcasts like Supergirl TV Talk. We talk about the CW's Supergirl show coming back real soon at this point. And we also have a podcast with my lovely wife, Marissa, where we talk about marketing and social media and Twitter and Facebook and the Snapchats and all that fun stuff. So check us out there. thoughtbubbleaudio.com. I think that about wraps it up for us today, my friend. Thank you so much.
Definitely wraps. Oh, until next time.
Until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.